Now, the Public Procurement Authority has given approval for a transaction advisor to be procured to lead the processes of identifying a suitable private sector entity with the requisite technical and financial capability to help dispose of the Sagleme housing project, which cost the state $200 million. It follows Cabinet's directive to the Minister for Works and Housing. It is to dispose of at the current value to a private sector entity to complete and sell the housing unit to the public at no further cost to the government. But Joy News is learning of a new cost at almost $200 million after some assessment was done. Sector Minister Francis Asenso-Boakye has been explaining.
Thorough feasibility studies were done. In fact, it was a requirement before Finance Ministry will commit funds to. And after the feasibility studies, it went before a panel of experts who sat on it and approved it before the Ministry of Finance committed funds to it. Of course, I did mention the use of local materials. That's one of the strategies we want to adopt to address the housing deficit, housing issues in the country. Because one of the reasons why it costs so much is because all our building materials, raw materials, are imported. And it's become even difficult lately because of the current global crisis.
So what kind of indigenous raw materials are we talking about?
I'm talking about, for now, the burnt bricks, clay, which we have huge deposits in many parts of the country, in the Ashanti region, in the Central region, in the Bonafo region. But unfortunately, they are still expensive.
Right.
Okay. It's because the industry is not developed. We want to use this project as a catalyst for people to realize that, hey, this burnt bricks can be used. People develop interest in it, develop the taste for it, because many people don't want to use the burnt bricks. If you're able to create demand for it, it will also create supply for it, and you can have mass production, and you can enjoy economies of scale. And in that case, the prices of these raw materials, burnt bricks, will come down. Then we develop the raw material, the local building materials industry, so that the average cost will come down, and it will help in our local housing industry.
State Housing Corporation is one of the contractors or one of the developers that have taken advantage of this and is working on. Apart from the state housing, we understand that the others are from the private sector.
Yeah, they are all from the private. State housing pretty much is a private sector. It's owned by the state, all right, but it's in the market to make profit. Yeah. And
the 60% that you are targeting, that you want to address their housing needs. Now let's look at the cost. Studio around 20,000.
One bedroom 20,000.
20,000. Two bedroom 30-something thousand.
34,000.
And then three bedroom. So what is the financing arrangements? Is it a case that's going to be a one-off payment, or they'll have to pay it within a certain period of time?
Okay, so the Ministry of Finance has a program called Home Ownership Fund. That one is a blended financing arrangement between the government and some selected banks. That government subsidizes the banks to provide mortgage arrangement, mortgage facilities to workers.
Let me take you to Parliament now and join our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante, who is joining us with the reactions from the House to this particular development. Kweku, how has the House been reacting to this announcement that we're looking for a private investor to take over Sagleme at a cost of $200 million?
Spoke to a member of the Works and Housing Committee and Directivity within this week. He was categorical that the minority is issuing that warning to all private investors that if you take over Sagleme, you are taking that at your own risk, and that a future NDC government will be looking forward to complete it with state funds. They have no plans of privatizing that project. And so if government does go ahead to give it out to a private company, that private company will be taking on some really huge costs and some really huge risk to complete that project. So they are completely against it. Just about a few months back, they toured the facility with journalists. They exposed what they said was government's inconsistencies about the project. They say that the only reason the president before the government does not want to complete the project is political reasons, not financial, and that the government has allowed people to steal the material that have been used for the project, but that they are committed as a future NDC government to complete it. And so if any private investor takes over that project, they'll be doing so at their own risk.
Now, we understand that this will cost, the private investor who take on this agreement $200 million. Do you know how much it will cost the state to complete the new housing scheme that they just launched?
Well, the entire amount itself has not been given, but in Parliament, there has been laid what is called a 10-key contract agreement between the government of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Works and Housing, and Duja Promotion Group Adoa for an amount of $56.8 million. And so that is how much government is investing into that project, because it's a private partnership agreement. Government is seeking parliamentary approval of $56.8 million to invest in that project. The private company will also invest its own part of the billing. Government is also providing land. And those are the questions the minority have been raising. They say that the government must cost the land they are providing, all other things they are providing, cost it, add it to this 56 million. Then the public will know that this is how much government is contributing to the project. Then come clean as to how much this private developer is also bringing. Then at the end of the day, you can put that together and know that this is the amount this project will cost. In fact, when the president spoke at the event the other time, he did not mention how much the entire project is going to cost. And that is the issue the minority have been raising. I should add that this $56.8 million that government is seeking approval for has not been approved yet. It is part of the reason why the minority boycotted the event. They said that the finances has not been approved, and so they were surprised that government was going ahead to launch that project. And so that is the outstanding issue. $56.8 million, government is seeking the approval of Parliament as its contribution to this CP agreement.
Are there any intentions of hauling the minister before the House to answer questions about the financing for the new scheme?
My understanding is that urgent questions are being filed. The only challenge is that Parliament is set to go on break today. And so even if urgent questions are filed within this period, it's very unlikely that a minister will be brought in to answer those questions. It may take up till October this year when the House resumes from its break. But we know that over the weekend, last weekend, there was this meeting between the Works and Housing Committee and the Works and Housing Ministry at Koforidua, where they discussed this project. Minority raised the objections, which led to the delay in approving this financing. And so some conversations have been had with the minister already. But I understand urgent questions are being filed. It will not be admitted now because clearly the House is going on break. But in October, when the House resumes, this will be some of the key issues that Parliament will be discussing when they are back from their break.